there was this thing called syndication, and I was just like, "What?" I had
Mm-hmm.
no idea. I remember I just thought, "Why is no one talking about this, and
Hmm.
why aren't more people doing it?"
How long ago was that moment?
2018, and it quickly picked up, but I called my dad, the real estate guy, and I was like, "Did you know there's this thing and you can just put your money in and not do anything?" And he hadn't heard of it, and that's what got the ball rolling. I would say that was one of the most pivotal moments, and got into my first LP investment shortly after that. Did some research, got to know the sponsors, and it turned out I found it really interesting and I saw the potential and I really enjoyed the people involved and liked the idea of helping other people get involved and started working towards being more of that GP role, which is what I focus on now.
Are you a hardworking dad, juggling family responsibilities while dreaming of building wealth through real estate? Welcome to the Invested Fathers Podcast, where we explore how to balance investing and fatherhood. I'm your host, Kenny Johnson, founder of East West Capital. Over the past 5 years, I've been buying real estate to free up my time and secure my family's future. Now I'm here to help you do the same. Join me as we navigate the real estate world together, building wealth and strengthening our families. As my grandma always said, East West, home's best. Ladies and gentlemen, I am with Amanda Larson. Amanda, how are you today?
Hey, Kenny, I'm good. Thanks for having me. It's super exciting to be on your podcast.
This is breaking for all our listeners. The Invested Fathers has our first female interview. So, Amanda, thank you so much for trailblazing in this way. I'm excited. You reached out to me a few weeks ago and had a story to tell, and I don't want
Yeah.
to steal the thunder there. So, let me just start the conversation with tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, so just a little bit about what I'm doing right now. So, commercial real estate, I buy and manage multifamily apartments. I bring other investors in who want to earn some passive income, usually busy professionals, engineers, doctors, lawyers, high income earners who just believe in the value of investing in real estate but don't want to get their hands dirty and don't want to put the time into it. So, yeah, that's a super high level. And I'm based in Houston, Texas. So focus primarily on the Sun Belt for acquiring assets.
One quick question I'd have is I went through a journey of figuring out what do I want to do with my
Yeah.
life? What is my calling?
Mm.
And I struggled with that question for years. It wasn't until I turned 30 where I decided I've got to make some changes in my career path to start getting some more freedom and some more joy and thriving
Yeah.
roles in my life.
Yeah.
Was that the same for you? Or like, how did
Yep.
you get
Yeah.
into what you just said?
It was absolutely the same. I had an undergraduate in electrical engineering. And I remember that exact same question of you're 18, 19, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? And for me, I was like, I have no idea. I yeah, I had no idea. And I tried a lot of different things in college. And part of why I landed on electrical engineering is because I knew it would give me options. It wasn't something that I loved, but I knew that it would be a good career. And if I enjoyed it, I could go as far as I wanted to. But also, I guess the salary would be enough that I would have options to pivot and find my own path. But yeah, it's a challenging question. And I didn't get into real estate full time until recently, or
Okay.
even serious into real estate until 2018 is when I really said this is something I want to pursue further. I'd gotten into real estate, a couple single family homes here and there, but it wasn't until 2018 where I was like, yeah, this is something that I really want to dedicate some time and effort to.
Awesome.
Yeah. Similar
Now,
journey.
2019 was my year,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm fascinated. I mean, you said multifamily. I feel like when people say, hey, I started dabbling in real estate, it basically means
Yeah.
they found a house to fix or flip, or maybe they had
Yep.
one rental, which is what I did and how I
Yep.
started. And you rather just are happy doing one at a time, or you
Mm-hmm.
have this, you know what? I think I can do this more. I want to buy bigger things. I want to start bringing investors together. And it sounds like you've been able to find the deals. And you said acquiring and
Yeah.
managing and also funding. So like capital raising. So it sounds like you're doing it all. I want to switch the gears here though. you got these innate values, maybe these struggles of what to do.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to your childhood, if we could.
Mhm.
What was it like? What were the
Yeah.
influences that sort of affected who you are today?
I think a strong message and why I thought I might be a good fit, even though I'm not a dad for this podcast, was because my dad is who really got me into real estate to begin with, and who really gave me that entrepreneurial mindset, and still is one of my biggest supporters today. I grew up and it was a blue collar household, and my family owned single family rentals. We grew up in Nebraska, and they had not a small portfolio, probably, I don't like 6 to 10 they bought and sold, but I saw that, and it was always ingrained into me that buy a house, have somebody pay the mortgage, and that's your retirement. It made sense, but at the same time, the perspective that I got was, it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
As
absolutely.
like doing the single family, it is a lot of work. Having a property manager isn't really feasible unless you're at scale. And so it's collecting rent, trying to collect rent, fixing things, taking the weekend calls. And while it made sense, it came down to a lot of work and a lot of weekends and a lot
Hmm.
of vacation calls and things like that. And my dad's blessed because he's a contractor, so he can fix most things on his own. But if you don't have that, it's even more challenging. So that's really where I was instilled with this whole idea of real estate is a really good investment. You just have to find a way to make it work for you. So I bought my first single family in 2010, and
Hmm.
I bought it in Nebraska. I was living overseas at the time, and I bought it knowing that, hey, it's a great investment. It's on sale. It was the US was going through the GFC in 2008 to 2011. And I thought, real estate's on sale. Seems like a great time. And I can buy it in Nebraska, and my dad can take care of it
There
for
you
me.
go. I love it. I love that last statement. And daddy.
So yeah. And yeah, I still have it, and they still help take care of it. They're helping renovate it right now and getting it rented again. Growing up in my household, it was very much an entrepreneurial spirit. And
Mhm.
I was one of the first ones to really go out and do this kind of what I would call a white collar engineering role.
Mhm.
And it's funny how I've gravitated back now to wanting to be an entrepreneur and in real estate. So yeah, full circle, and my dad's along the whole way.
Yeah, we have a lot of similarities.
Mhm.
My dad also acquired properties growing up. I saw what he did, and I was actually repelled by the idea of owning these rentals because, like you said, they're a
Yeah,
lot of work. You mentioned like vacation calls. There's a story that still floats around in my family, unfortunately, but we're at Thanksgiving dinner. We're about to eat the turkey here,
yeah,
and my dad gets a phone call. It's someone locked themselves out of the house.
yeah.
So he left and did this thing.
I
And
think
so, and the kids break the screen doors, and another refrigerator broke, and another
yep,
window broke. And I'm like,
yep,
why would anyone want to do this? This just seems like such a waste of life and energy. So growing up, I was thinking this is the worst thing in the
yeah,
world.
uh-huh,
And it wasn't until there was a way to get into it without it being this awful job that
yeah.
really made it worth it. So could you talk to me about, did you feel that as well? And was like, when did
Oh,
that
yeah.
transition happen in your mind?
There was a joke, I don't know if it was a joke, but my dad would always say, "I'm gonna bequeath my real estate empire to you when I go," and I was like, "I don't want anything to do with it." And I was like,
Like,
"Give
no,
it to my
please, no.
sister."
Right.
So exactly. I mean, I was not drawn to it at all. And then the fixing and flipping, I knew that wasn't my thing. They did that as well. So really what got me involved into a bigger picture of real estate, I went to a conference. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, the Purple Book, and I thought,
Mhm.
okay, there's other ways to do this where you're not that person taking the phone calls and doing all the work. And so read the book, went to a conference and did like a small mastermind, dabbled
Hmm.
in a lot of things, but still a lot of it was very hands-on until I went to a meetup, a local meetup in Houston, and there was this thing called syndication, and I was just like, what? I had
Mhm. Mhm.
no idea. I remember I just thought, why is no one talking about this? And
Mhm.
why aren't more people doing it?
How long ago was that moment?
2018.
Yeah, that sounds right.
2018, and it quickly picked up, but I called my dad, the real estate guy, and I was like, "Did you know there's this thing and you can just put your money in and not do anything?" And he hadn't heard of it, and that's what got the ball rolling. I would say that was one of the most pivotal moments, and got into my first LP investment shortly after that. Did some research, got to know the sponsors, and it turned out I found it really interesting and I saw the potential and I really enjoyed the people involved and liked the idea of helping other people get involved and started working towards being more of that GP role, which is what I focus on now. But yeah, they're learning that there's a way that you can invest in real estate and not do those Thanksgiving calls or the Sunday calls or the
Hmm.
weekend calls and have it be more of a scalable business. It's a business that happens to be real estate, is how I
Hmm.
would describe it.
Okay. I want to unpack two things. One
Yeah.
was you're going to school. So electrical engineer. So you have
Yeah.
these skill sets. There's money there. You made it seem like. So when you start talking about conference, I feel like when you said conferences, like Rich Dad Poor Dad and like Mastermind, that right there, you're seeing a trajectory and like you're educating yourself. But those things aren't free and they take
No.
time. So you already had a level of, okay, you're not maybe I would assume you're not working 60 hours a week. You're open to exploring some different career options. Did you have some money
Yeah.
ready to deploy? I want to figure this out a little bit. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say that I did. And part of why I started going to the conferences is because I enjoy investing. I always know that your money needs to make money for you. And so I was going to different types of conferences and real estate really resonated with me. And it is an important point that when you get to this, there's a scale, and when you get into syndications, it's not a no money down, get rich quick, get fast return. So you
Right.
do need something to start with. You can't just skip the hard work that goes in front of it. So you need a career professional or somebody who's earns enough income to make that first investment.
Mm-hmm.
And those boot camps, conferences, masterminds, they're not free at all. And it's investment in yourself. And so more on boot camps than I did on college.
Yeah. What I love is you recognize the return. Like I'm
Hmm.
trying to figure out like what makes up who you are and like the
Yeah.
values and the risks, the abilities to push through some of the unknowns. And what I
Yeah.
see is through these interviews,
Hmm.
someone wants more. They want a better
Yeah.
life, a bigger piece of the pie, whatever it is. And they're willing to
Yeah.
put their time and money into it. Some people don't have that money out of the gates, but they still find a way to get into it. So you
Yeah.
were obviously like working hard, earning money. And instead of just being frugal and just a saver, you were like, you know what, I'm ready to invest this into myself, education. Huge kudos to you for that. One of my questions was going to be what kind of skill sets and things potentially from dad has made up the answering of this awful
Yeah.
question of what do you want to do with your life? And I think
Yeah.
I mentioned this in a previous episode. That answer sometimes looks, oh, I want to be a real estate professional or I want to be a electrical engineer. But I feel like the true answer is I want to be working with
Mhm.
people, you know, managing
Uh-huh.
this or funding, like kind of the more of the who you are. So
Yeah.
my question to you would be, what is your superpower or what is your thrive zone in regards to what makes up you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll touch on a couple points there because you mentioned that the people that you're around and you like this desire to do more. And that's one of the biggest draws into this space was you go to these conferences and you're around people who just think at a different level and they operate at a different level than the people in your immediate circle, like the people that I worked with or the people that I associate with or go out with on the weekends. It's like times 10, bring it up a notch, and they are more calm and relaxed and just have this bigger picture thinking. And it's almost this Zen moment where you're like, wow, I really want that in my lifestyle. I really want that. I would call it like this confidence level that they will accomplish whatever they need to accomplish and they'll just get it done. And they're not worried about that 5%, 3% promotion or the 2-week vacation or whatever it is that most people that are in a career life worry about.
Mm-hmm.
So I was drawn to that immediately. I said, these people are playing at a different level and I want to be a part of that. Then bringing it back to what skills do you need? I would say that real estate isn't complicated. It's not complex. You don't need an engineering degree. I would say the number one thing you need is like determination and keep showing up and keep working at it, because it's not, for most people, it's not a fast process. I've been doing this since 2018, the syndication space,
Mm-hmm.
and it's slowly like taking off. It's not this, I'm going to go buy an apartment next month.
Mm-hmm.
It's learning all the skill sets, because you really have to be part of a lot of it. It's not complicated, but it's not easy.
Mm-hmm. I think those are great words in regards to it's not a fast thing. And
Yeah.
of course, you hear stories about the guy who made $1 million in 3 weeks or whatever it is. There's always someone out there that did something amazing.
Definitely.
Yes. But for the rest of us in this world,
Yeah.
it takes time to figure out the business. I had a flip where it was a 6-month flip and me and my partner made a bunch of money in that short time.
Yeah.
But have I had another one like that? No, that was 3 or 4 years ago. So is that money gone? Yeah, it's gone. You got to keep going. I love that you said determination. The truth is you don't need to go to school for this. I didn't. That was part of my hang up. I went to school for art, graphic design.
Yeah.
And I realized I don't want to do this as soon as I graduated. Now, determination and consistency. So hearing your story of, hey, 2018 is really when I started. I heard the word syndication at this time, and we're 6 years later, and you're starting to, you've put in time, you've put in reps. I'm sure there's been hard stuff. Tell us a little bit about some of those struggles, because I'm sure it wasn't all just, oh, I just did this and I went to this conference and next thing I know, I'm a millionaire and passive income, financially free. Tell us maybe a low spot of this journey so far.
I think it's a good point, because you'll go to a conference and you go to a boot camp and they'll sell it to you like, oh, anyone can do it, and 5 years to retirement, and maybe, but they don't tell you about all of the hard work that goes into it. I was working 2 jobs for a very long time, my engineering, and was working long hours with that, and then doing real estate in the evenings and all weekend. So it's learning to underwrite and how to analyze deals and how to vet markets and networking events and marketing. And you really need to learn it all, because you're running a business essentially on your own.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Everything you meant, underwriting, analyzing new markets. You didn't talk about necessarily like managing. Let's say you landed a 100-unit complex.
Yeah.
So the power of people, obviously, like in educating and training, has the partnership game been easy for you? Like connecting with these, you mentioned conferences, but you also mentioned being on your own. So are you on your own today, or do you have this team?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's another thing. It gets talked about a lot, that you need to choose your partners wisely. And what I find a lot of times is it's sold as an easy path to retirement or an easy path. So what I find is a lot of people get started, have big hopes and dreams, and then realize it's hard work. They get busy with life. They get busy with whatever they're doing. They go to a different conference. And so finding good partners is not easy, because a lot of people just don't take it as seriously as you want them to take it. And also with the ups and downs of the market, we've seen people come go. We haven't talked about multifamily specifically, but we had COVID, and then prices skyrocketed, and then they're way down and people are defaulting on their loans. And so it's been challenging, and it's shaking a lot of people out, which is a good thing. So back full circle to your question, I've partnered on deals. So we closed on a deal, 264 units in Houston. It's been 18 months now. And so you work with partners on that deal, and then maybe there's a good chance I'll work with those partners again, but they're not business partners in my personal business. It's more deal specific. And then eventually the idea is to find a partner that you want to partner with and grow a business together.
Yeah, no, that's really good. The truth is your journey is going to be different than the next person's journey anyway. But understanding like, what were some trials, or what are you facing right now? I think that's helpful to know, hey, at least with Amanda Larson here, she
Mhm.
did it this way and she's
Yeah.
still figuring this out, but she's also arrived in this way. And I love that you're taking action. Amanda, let
Yeah.
me shift gears just a second because we talked a little bit about your dad,
Yeah.
and it sounds like he's still your first phone call, maybe. Like you have a
Uh,
question about something or you have a victory. It sounds like he's still very active in your life there. Tell me, in some of those leadership, that leadership role he's had for you, whether just entrepreneurial or can do, fix it, maybe kind of guy,
yeah.
what are some ways that you've tried to instill that in others? Or I don't know if you have people you're discipling right now, the legacy that he is leaving to you and has impacted you. How is that being carried forward?
What I would say, and I share this with a lot of people that I know, is yeah, I think dads have an outsized impact, especially on daughters. I've seen it. You can almost see what kind of dad they had.
No, absolutely.
Judgy, almost judgy, but it comes out in everything from how they carry themselves, what they think they can do, how big they think, the types of dating relationships they have, how they treat their kids. It's so impactful. That dad father daughter relationship is, you can spot it a mile away. So it's just really important, and hold dads accountable for being that role model in their kids' lives, and uh, allowing them to think big and support them through whatever they want to do, and be that dad, be the superstar dad. That doesn't mean you have to, I don't know, I don't want to say superstar, but just be supportive and
Mhm.
set a good example.
Yeah, I probably should have asked this question a lot earlier because I feel like this is very, insightful and unique to you, unique
Mhm.
to the people I brought on thus far. So that role of the impact of the dad on a daughter and how
Yeah.
that has carried on, and even to the point where when you're with other girls, ladies,
Mhm.
you can pick up on, I'm really curious, does that mean just like insecurity or like mean? And I mean, we don't have to mention names here of the people that you're thinking of,
Yeah.
but like, what are some of cues? I mean, that was not a great household. They did not have a great relationship with their dad. What kind of
Well,
cues do
yeah.
you see?
I would say how you can almost see, one, how they treated the mother in the relationship, and then also just the standard of if my dad walks me to my car at night, like, sure as somebody I'm dating better do the same. Or if my dad treats me with the level of respect,
Right.
somebody that I'm dating better be better than that. It's almost like setting the bar for
Hmm.
what you can expect in a relationship and the level of respect that you get.
Hmm.
That's the best way I could describe it.
Yeah. So dad treating you respectfully, supporting, that's
Mhm.
giving you the ability to carry out
Yeah.
entrepreneurial
Mhm.
courage to continue on saying, hey, dad really valued me and he treated me with
Yeah.
care and love. So I am worth something.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I'm gonna date somebody, they
Right.
should treat you better than your dad.
Yeah.
At least as good, probably.
When you were younger, I'd say the formative years,
Yep.
um, do you remember? Because I have a 3-year-old at home. Her name's Daphne.
Yeah.
She's a
Yeah.
firecracker in all of its glory. I have a son as well who was our obedient, kind, gentle little boy. And then Daphne comes and she's running around with a knife, jumping
Yeah.
off the couch, tearing up books, all the stuff.
Yeah.
So obviously everyone's wired differently, but give me a little bit of like memories of dad growing up in regards, maybe a story or two of
Yeah.
this is how he raised me. And this is kind of part of this helped me growing up at a younger age.
What I primarily remember with my dad, it was like, you can do anything. It doesn't matter if you're a girl, it doesn't matter, I wanted to be an astronaut when I grew up. My friends laughed at me, and my dad was the first one to say, hey, yeah, be an astronaut. Like, you can do whatever you want to do. You're good enough. And it doesn't matter that you're a girl or anything. Just do what
Mhm.
you want to do. And he raised me like, if you can play sports, you can get dirty, you can do whatever, and just be yourself. Didn't try to put me in a box. And part of my life I was really girly. I was a gymnast and went to dancing and things like that. And he supported that. He'd go to every meet, always there, go to practice and be the biggest cheerleader in the stands. But then also I played softball and big wheels and did all the stuff, got dirty at the park. And he was there for that too. So it's just more about, if you're going to do it, just be the best you can be at it.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that message to the dads out there who want to be involved in their daughter's life, that support of showing up and the reaction to, hey, dad, I want to be an astronaut. Okay, honey, sure. Versus, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait to see you launching the rocket ship.
I mean, to take off, right?
You might even take off whenever you go. I think that's huge. And I have a 3-year-old, but maybe there's dads out there who have teenagers, and it's hard to connect more because they're maybe closed off. But it sounds like through all of your involvement in sports and gymnasts, other things, dad was still there. He didn't just remove himself because
he didn't, because he wasn't interested. I'm sure he learned way more about gymnastics than he ever wanted to.
Man. Okay, I think I want to go now where, and you've already said a lot of it, but like key takeaways or advice to dads today who have a daughter. You mentioned being supportive, the formative years, not laughing or joining you amidst things. Is there something that you would maybe say, hey, I see this messed up a lot. This is what I would help you dads with that we need to know?
Probably, it sounds so simple, but just set a good example, because your kids are watching and they're going to absorb like how you treat other women, not just your daughter, but how you treat other females in your life. Somehow kids watch that and they absorb that, and that's what they attach to how they should be treated. So I guess if you want your daughter to be treated like a princess, or be treated like with all the respect in the world, that's the bar that you need to set for how other females in life.
Man, that is so good. We can be sweet and doting to our children, but then when we just flip the switch and maybe treat our wives or grandma or my mom or any woman, anyone as just, she doesn't matter, or she really thinks she can do that. Doesn't she realize whatever she can't? Like, those actions are probably way louder than just being like snuggling or holding or trying to other things. So thank you for saying that. Amanda, I always like to ask this question too. I've thought of some things of exploring you and the business and the dad, but are there things that maybe I haven't asked that you've wanted to share in light of fatherhood or just your story thus far?
No, I think we touched on all the really important parts. I guess if we want to bring it back to real estate at all, or entrepreneurialism, just follow what you really want to do. And if you've got a busy career and you want to start investing, just get started. Find someone who will support you through that journey, whether it be through your family or through a mastermind or whatever it is. Anything's possible. If you need support, myself and Kenny are there to help you out.
Going through this journey alone is terrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible. And you just said real estate, but working out, going to the gym, having a diet, whatever it is, the people that you connect with really, I mean, it was a game changer for me, at least. Letting down the defense of I'm okay and I can do this all on my own, but inviting people into your life through your weaknesses or through whatever, it's fun too. Like, doing something with others is awesome. And one thing I didn't say that I wanted to say, listening to the stories of your dad, like going to the gym and stuff, or the gymnastics things, he loved it because he loves you. And I just think there's such a cool give and take, symbiotic, loving relationship when the dads love their daughters. Like, they help each other out.
I wasn't a son, so it's hard for me to speak to that, but it's probably the similar but different type of relationships if you don't have daughters but you only have sons.
Right. Yeah, our children. Yeah,
all the same applies.
Right. Right. Well, thank you, Amanda. Thanks for sharing all the stories today. Amanda, if our audience wanted to see you mentioned Houston. What's a good way to track your journey?
Yeah, so probably the best way is just visit my website, amaxequity.com. My contact details are on there, my social media links, connect on LinkedIn. That's where I'm most active right now. And yeah, I have some free giveaways for people who are interested, or just check out my bio and sign up for my newsletter. I won't spam you, but that's the best way to stay up to date. And yeah, just reach out and say hello.
Amanda, thanks so much for sharing everything. It sounds like you are in full swing of everything, the
I'm working
newsletters, the
on
website, the LinkedIn. You are busy, and I applaud you. Thank you so much for making time to be on the show today. Um,
Thank you so
and
much.
and thank you, Mr. Larson, for all of your investment into Amanda
Yeah.
and her successes.
Yeah. Thank you for both of us. Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Invested Fathers podcast. If you liked this episode, we would love for you to click subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. We appreciate all of your hard work as a father and look forward to our next episode together.